And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello there, my friends. It's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going to be traveling all across the world to Italy. We're going to be checking out the coastline of Italy. We're going to be grabbing some produce in trucks, getting orders, dropping them off in different villages. In fact, the 5 villages. This game is called Cinque, Terre, the 5 villages from Rio Grande Games. It's about 60 minutes long, 2 to 5 players, about 13 and up is the age here. It is a light medium pick up and deliver game where you're taking orders and dropping them off and having all sorts of fun. So let's check it out, show you how it's played, and I'll give you my final thoughts. In Cinque Terre, you're trying to get the most points by driving around the fields to harvest produce to then sell them at the different villages. Now this game is set up for 3 players here. Everybody gets a sort of their own little mat. We get some vegetables and produce to start off with. Now, interesting to note that the way that the produces are handed out at the beginning of the game is completely random. And also how much each of the produces are worth at each of the villages is also completely random every game. At the beginning, everyone's given 4 vegetable cards here, and you're giving 1 starting order, which essentially by the end of the game, you're going to try to get a mushroom to this village, a zucchini to this one, an olive to this one, an orange to this one, and a grape to this one. We'll talk about scoring later, but everyone starts with 1 starting order. Let's talk about what happens on the turn. On your turn, you get 3 actions. Now, there's a couple of different things that can be used as actions. The first one is you can move up to 4 spaces. So let's say I'm this light blue truck. Everything is always done clockwise the entire game. So you can move up to 4 spots for 1 action. Let's just say I just move 1 and I'm here. Now, another thing you can do for an action is draw a produce card. So let's say I draw this olive card, put it in my hand. That's action number 2. Another thing we can do for an action is we can harvest up to 4 produces in the same area that is connected to our truck. Notice that here we are in this little this hill region here. There are actually 3 separate types of produce that are connected to this city on the map. We have zucchini, oranges, and olives there. Now for 1 action, I can get up to 4 pieces of produce there. Now, I happen to have 2 zucchinis and 1 olive in my hand, so I could pick up all 3 of those and still have it only be 1 action. So I could take 2 of these, 1 of these, and these get discarded here. Let's talk about where this produce goes. We drop the produce on the truck back. We can only hold 4 at a time. Also for an action, you can take any 2 produce cards that are identical and turn them in for 1 piece of produce of any kind that your truck is on the same spot of. So let's say for my 4th move, I just move up to 4 and I just stop there. That would be the end of my turn. It would be the next person's turn. So the 4th thing you can do is sell. So let's talk about that. When you come to any of these villages, you can sell up to 4 produces for 1 action. Now, how do we know what to sell and how much to sell it to? Well, let's take a look at our cart and the cities going up here. So if you remember, we have 2 zucchini and 1 olive in our cart. Now look at the colors of these. You can sell these at any place, and if you sell it at a place where that color has a die, that's how much it's worth. So for instance, every zucchini I sell in this village here, I won't even try to pronounce it because I'll do terribly, you'd get $4. If I have an olive here, there's no black die. If there's no die, you get $1. So this is only worth 1 here, but it's worth 3 up here and 3 up there. Where the zucchini is worth 4 here, but it's worth 6 here, and it's worth 1 everywhere else because there's no die there. So the zucchini are really, really good, perfect places here, and for the olives maybe up there. But now remember that you have these order cards that you were given at the beginning of the game. Now this is to entice you to take them into places you normally wouldn't go just for the points. So in this case, I would possibly want to drop these off at these certain other cities. So for instance, I can drop them off. So let's say I started my turn here, and then so I could go 1, 2, that would be my 1 action. Then I could sell these to this village and it would be 6 points each. So I would then take those 2 and place them on the little spots for that village. If at any time I'm the first person to get all eight any produces up to one village, I become the most popular vendor. Let's take a look at those scores. I have these laid out in order that the cities go from top to bottom on the board. Notice the two outside ones would get you 8 points, 10, and 12. So if you're the first person to get 8 pieces of produce sold at any of these villages, you get to keep this and you get to add these points to your score. The other way you can score these order cards. Now, how this works is that if at any time you, on your turn, by the end of your turn, you can complete any of these orders, you basically say so and you can take the card and that's how many points you get. Now, these are all open for anybody at any time. So for example, if in my selling card over there, I've sold a lemon to the first village, an olive to this one, an orange to this one, at the end of my turn, I could say I've completed this order. I could take this and I leave it face up underneath my map so everybody can see it, and I get the 15 points. Now I get to draw a card and I get to look at it. This would be secret. I get to look at this card secretly. If I want it, I keep it, but I keep it face down so nobody sees it. If I don't want it, it goes here, and then I have the option, so now anybody can get it, and then I have the option to pull one more card off the top and take it, but I don't have a choice. If I pull this card and gamble, I have to keep it, and it would stay face down because nobody can see what it is. So during the game, you will have some that were face up that you've gotten that everyone's seen, and you'll have some face down that people don't know about. The game ends in one of two ways. If anytime any 2 produce sections are completely depleted, that starts the end and everybody gets one more turn, including that person. The other way it ends is if anybody has 5 completed orders, not counting the starting one or any of the secret ones, but open-faced orders, any combination of 5 of these cards and these MPVs, anybody has a combination of 5 of those done on their side, that starts the end of the game and everybody else, including that person, gets one more turn. Now let's talk about the final scoring. At the end of the game, your score already shows you all the open orders that you've done and all the money for all the selling of the produces that you've had. So the only things you have to then add to your score are any hidden produce orders. So at that point, you flip them over. If you completed them and show everybody you've completed them, you get the points, in this case 14. If I did not complete them, for each piece of produce that I did not fulfill, I get -5. For the starting orders, I take the dice from each of these cities. So if there was a mushroom dice there, I'd put it here. If there was a zucchini, I'd put it there. There were none for the first 3 in this case. There was a orange dice in that city and a grape dice in that city. Essentially, we take 1 point for each place there's no dice, and then we add them all up. So it's 9, 10, 11, 12. So we take 30 minus 12 is 18. This starting order was worth 18 points if I got them all, and minus 18 if I didn't get them all. Once all that's done, you look at who's win, and the one that has the most points on the board at that point is the winner. All right, well, there's Cinque Terre. Look, anybody can make a really complex game, but the hard thing is to make a good game that has simple rules and is easy to teach, and this does that. I really like this game. I would say it's probably just a step above, maybe a half step or one whole step above the complexity of, say, let's say a Ticket to Ride gateway game. I might not play this with somebody who's never played board games before, but if you've got some people out there that maybe you've introduced Ticket to Ride to and they like it, this would be like the next step. Because there's a lot of familiar type of mechanics that might be there. Now, don't get me wrong, this has nothing to do with trains, it has nothing to do with, playing Ticket to Ride, but this pick up and deliver game has the simpleness that it takes 5 minutes to teach, but yet for the gamers, there's a lot of things to think about. There's a lot of different ways that you can go, whether you're dropping off the produce at just the really expensive spots, or whether you're trying to just diversify so that when those orders come up, you have a good chance of having maybe all of it already done or some of it already done. And the reason why I bring up Ticket to Ride is because people will already be familiar with those destination tickets. And when they pick up new tickets and they're looking to see which trains they can reuse, it's similar to that, where when you're getting the orders and you've fulfilled one and you take those points and you're taking the secret one and you're looking at it and you're going, either I can already fulfill this or I'm very close to this. I can reuse a lot of the produce that I've already dropped off. So that familiarity will feel very good and very easy to someone who's played that. So that's why I say it's like the next step. So I really liked it. I loved how even though if there's a lot of players playing, that it never felt like there was too much downtime because there was still a lot of thinking that goes on. Again, it's simple, but yet there was still a lot to think about. So I really like that. Anytime you can put together simplicity and good ways to think and different ways for victory, I thought it was just a very, very pleasurable game to play. It's probably one of my favorite light to medium pick up and deliver games. I'm keeping it for sure forever. And so if you like pick up and deliver games and you don't mind going to the light medium, you definitely got to check this one out. It's fun. It's thematic. You can play it with some friends and neighbors that aren't necessarily gamers, but gamers like this game too. So it's in that nice little niche. Check out Cinque Terre.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.